Welcome to the Principal Podcast, where we talk about how the best professional services firms grow. Whether you're looking to scale your firm or learn from the stories of founders and leaders who've done it, you're in the right place. Join us as we interview the best leaders in professional services. Let's get on with the show.
All right, Chris, welcome to Consulting Leaders today. And one of the first things we like to do whenever we speak to anybody is find out what got you into your consulting job. And you had a long corporate career, it looks like 30 years, and being a pro athlete, doing the circuit in baseball. So what got you into wanting to have your job in consulting?
So when I was in corporate America from, say, age 26 to 35, I really enjoyed my job in business development and leadership. But my boss asked me a really interesting question. And he said, Chris, if you had enough money in the bank and you could do whatever you wanted, right? You still have to work, but you could do whatever you want. What would you want to do? And I said, I want to be a coach, like my college baseball coach. I said that at age 35, 36. And so, but I was making good money. And the phrase of the golden handcuffs are real things, right? I was making good money in corporate. But then I had an event in 2023 I didn't expect coming. I was a CEO of a company and the owner was leveraged and he had to divest and he asked me to step down. And so I was at a crossroads in my career and I said, well, I have enough money in the bank to start a business. I've always wanted to be a coach, but college baseball coaching didn't pay as well as executive coaching. And I had been, an executive of companies doing over 100 million, over $1 billion. And so that's when I decided okay, this is the day I'm going to jump out and start my own business at the age of 52 as an entrepreneur.
Wow, 52.
So
That's interesting because that's a roll in the dice, but you felt confident in your background and your history and all the other things you've been through athletically. That gives you this fortitude to be able to say, I can get through this no matter what. And that's probably a key
100%.
reason.
100%. Yeah. I mean, there's a phrase in life, like if you don't believe in yourself, who else will? And so I always believed in myself, but there's a safety net in life with, an income or a salary, or even having parents that support kids, right? There's a safety net. When you step out as an entrepreneur with your own money and you bootstrap it, the safety net just goes away. But I was convinced I've walked the high wire 30 years successfully. So I'm like, I might fall a little bit, but I'll figure this out. It's going to take some time. And interestingly, Dennis, as we record, I've been doing this 3 years as of next week. And my first month of profitability was last month. So
wow,
35 years upside down, but now it's flipped the other way and the pipeline looks good.
There you go. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So when you talk to your customers, what problem do you feel you solve for them? And for you personally, why does that matter to you? Why does it matter to solve that problem?
Yeah, great question. It's the owner founder that was a subject matter expert, built their business to a certain place, and they're now realizing they can't grow without a team and without other people. And I've taken a number of personality assessments. I'm a high ID on the disc. I'm very people centric. And I'm really passionate not only about helping the owner, founder get unstuck or not be the bottleneck. I have even more fun training an entry-level leader who's never been in management. They're a subject matter expert at technology, cutting hair. It doesn't even matter what it is, but they're becoming a leader. And so my X factor is, how do I help people develop other people?
Okay.
And that's how companies grow and scale, right? It's through their people. And obviously there's systems, and we can get into all those other things. But my real X factor is connecting with the owner founder, helping them understand from a self-awareness perspective why they're stuck, and then really helping develop their next level team so they can start getting out of the way and they can really start to grow and scale.
Tell me, do you find that DISC helps you in being able to achieve that?
DISC does. I mean, there are a number of assessments. The reason I like DISC, it's easy. Like there's MBTI and Wonderlic and all these different awesome assessment tests. But the cool thing about DISC is only 4 natural styles, D, I, S, or C. And so it's easy to understand. Everybody can remember, hey, I'm an I, I know what I am. But then what's also important in the workplace is, well, what's your team? And so if I'm an I and I'm working with a C, my job is to adjust my language and communication to make sure I'm speaking their language, not mine.
And if you're a D working with an S, it can be chaos. So
absolutely. The diagonals on the disc, if everybody looks it up, the diagonals, it's always chaos. I's and C's and D's and S's. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And it's accurate and it does work. I know that I've been doing it for over 30 years. So, tell me, when you look at your clients, who is your ideal client? And then also, as a secondary question, who are the decision makers in those clients?
Yeah. So when I started my business 3 years ago, because I grew up in the professional staffing space, I thought my ICP, ideal client profile, was going to be staffing firms. I have some clients that are staffing firms. What I found though is my actual ICP is $5 to $30 million owner, founder, CEOs
Okay.
that are stuck. And I work in every sector. So what I've learned about being an EOS style implementer, executive coach, is it doesn't matter. I mean, I had a client that does algorithm investing and said, Chris, do you know anything about investing? I'm like, not really. And they're like, do you think we'll be, and they said, do you think you'd be a great coach for us? I'm like, absolutely. And they're like, well, how? I'm like, you guys are the subject matter experts in that. I don't need to be an expert. I need to be an expert in how to
Correct.
develop your next level. Right. So
Right.
yeah. So my ideal client profile has shifted from, I thought it was very linear. It's just staffing companies, but it's really any industry, any company that's in that revenue bucket that's looking to grow.
So you're looking at 5 to 30 million is your sweet spot?
Perfect. Those are perfect.
Okay. And within that, as you identify who the person is you want to work with, how do you approach them with your benefit statement as to why they should give you time?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I say is I have been an operator for 30 years and I still operate my own company. So if I'm going to ask for you 30 minutes, 60 minutes to go into a training session or a coaching session, every minute matters and I'm not going to waste your time. If I'm going to pull you out of your business for an hour, we better have a very specific plan as to what we're going to get accomplished. And I have that plan, and I have a prepackaged executive coaching, standard operating procedure, prepackaged leadership team, standard operating procedure. And I walk people through when I talk to them as a prospect of what they're going to experience. But a lot of my business, Dennis, is built on behavior change. And whenever I open my keynotes or I do prospecting calls, I'll talk to a customer about, there's a study done by Boston University called the Study of Diffusion's Theory, that 98.5% of people resist change. And then I ask the prospect, so Dennis, what's the only thing constant in life?
Change.
Change. And everybody says the same thing, right? So 98% of people resist, but the only thing constant is change. And so I try to talk to that owner founder of like, this is going to be uncomfortable at first, but we need to build the trust that I'm going to take you down the breadcrumbs of getting you out of the holes you're stuck in, because I've been stuck in the same holes before and I can show you the way out.
Right. It's the old adage when you're dealing with customer indifference or, as you said, change. The concept is, hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's their mindset. So they resist the change. But you can come back and say, hey, it may not be broke, but I can make it better.
100%.
And that's where you get to them. Like that. I like that a bunch. All right. How do your clients find you?
So the last 2.5 years, it's been mostly through either referral, word of mouth, or the big thing for me has been stages. And so any coaches, consultants, I always say, create a metric in your business to get on a minimum of, 2 stages a quarter, whatever that looks like. And whether you do a free keynote, paid keynote, a mastermind, every single time, Dennis, I've gotten on a stage, I've gotten at least one client from it, at least one client every single time. So that's been a really key thing for me. And then in the last few months, I have been building out a more robust social media campaign approach. I've been using AI in a very progressive way to create, lists. I actually do more texting into my network and LinkedIn messaging than I do like cold emails. As much as I'm all for anybody that does cold emails, I don't have the right strategy for that. But I do something called SPEAR text messaging, which is short, personal, expects a reply. So I have 6,500 contacts on LinkedIn. All I do is I just do 5 a day. It's a metric I have. I measure it 5 a day. So it might be, hey, Dennis, saw your company sold. That's awesome. Send. It's short, personal, expects a reply. And I get about an 80% response rate on SPEAR text messages or SPEAR LinkedIn messages.
Wow.
So it's literally 10 words
high.
or less. Yep.
That's great.
And then that creates opportunities for me to talk further about what I'm doing, or they network me to somebody else.
Correct. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I like that approach. And the main thing is that I totally concur. Texting is far more efficient than emails. People will look at their text or they'll go to their LinkedIn far more than they will their email, because they're inundated with emails all day long. They don't want to look at them. And one of the things that's critical is that you want at least a dialogue or potential dialogue. And if you can get that with what you're doing, keep doing it. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned you're doing podcasting. how frequently do you do that? Oh, your own, excuse me.
Yeah, my own. Yeah, the MTA podcast, Make the Adjustment podcast. Yeah, I push out about one a week. It's no less than 3 a month, and
Okay.
I try to target anybody that wants to speak to my ICP about how to get better in leadership and entrepreneurship. And so I've had guests on that have run businesses doing literally hundreds of millions, all the way to a gentleman that was on a few weeks ago that was paralyzed in college playing rugby, and he wrote a book on mindset. And it was one of the most inspirational stories I've ever heard on mindset and,
Wow.
overcoming adversity. And so, Make the Adjustment as a tagline in my business is about, we control what we say, we control what we do. And only you can make the adjustment. You can't control the external factors around you. And so whether you're an entrepreneur trying to run a business, you're a CEO, you're somebody that was literally paralyzed playing rugby in college, like, all you can do is react to whatever situation you're in, make the adjustment, and try to move forward as best you can, given the circumstances you have. That's all you can do, you know?
Well, a good example of that was the Cleveland Cavaliers. James Harden didn't pay attention to the outside noise in Game 3, and then Donovan Mitchell had a great second half in Game 4.
go.
They didn't listen to what everyone else said. They made their
No.
adjustments, which
That's
is
right.
effective. So when you use your podcast with guests, do you find that expands your business opportunities as well?
You know what's funny? It's expanded it more so in partnerships. So as my business has expanded, some of my podcast guests have become my vendors. Some have
Okay.
become preferred partners. And so I don't know if I've had a one-for-one where I did a podcast that got me a client, but it certainly opened up my eyes to new ideas and new partnerships that I definitely would not have had otherwise without the podcast.
Do you find that when they're on, you then promote yourself through their network once you send them the recording?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, as you know, these podcasts give you an opportunity for social media and getting clips and some things that you might say in an organic conversation like this that is very organic and very natural and comes off for the guest as a highly competent person in that space. And so, yeah, it ends up being a two-way street where the podcast is good for my guest and obviously ends up being good for me because it exposes me to their network as well.
Correct. Okay, good. When you look at the people that you deal with in terms of the stakeholders that work there, you probably have to deal at times with multiple stakeholders within an organization. How do you get it from that first meeting to them agreeing to work with you?
Yeah. The smaller they are, that 5 to 30 million ICP typically is just the owner founder, maybe one of the decision makers, so it's easier to navigate. I have an opportunity now with a company that's doing $500 million. And I've worked with these companies before and I sold to them in corporate America. So that process, much longer, more stakeholders. I mean, you're talking CEO, CRO, COO, CHRO, board, CFO. So you're having multiple conversations. Some are online, some are offline. Sometimes somebody misses the call. Thank God for AI note takers to
Right.
capture notes from the call. But it depends on the nature of the engagement, the size of the engagement. So again, things you have to think about as an entrepreneur, like, what is my ICP? If it's $500 million clients, you have to understand, okay, that's a much longer sales cycle. You're going to have more opportunities. Fewer are going to close, but one closes, you know what that means on your delivery engine and revenue, which is obviously a really good thing.
Do you
But,
have, in addition to you, Chris, is there anyone else that you have that works with you helping and growing your business?
Yeah, so I hired Dan Martell, and I'm in his elite coaching program, and I started to execute what he's called the replacement ladder. So I replaced myself with an executive assistant, with a delivery coordinator, and I've now outsourced my social media marketing. So there's
Okay.
there's 5 rungs to the ladder. It's executive assistant, delivery, marketing, sales, leadership. So I'm starting to replace myself in the first 2 or 3 runs of that ladder, and I'll continue to grow and scale and hire. But right now it's only me and a handful of people. But I keep talking about AI. I'm leveraging AI in very advanced ways that is replacing, I guess, lower level tasks that humans used to do that AI can now do.
So give me an example of that. What do you mean by that? What do you do that is now being replaced?
Yeah, exact idea would be social media campaign management. So AI will give me 3 months of content ideas that I literally just have to log into my Google Sheet and record a raw video. I can then put it into a tool like Claude. Claude can edit that and give me a caption and have everything done in 10 minutes. Whereas that didn't happen 6 months ago, 12 months ago.
No, it did not. And when you do that, what platforms are you putting it out on your social media most often?
Yeah, I do upload to all of them. And so TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn are the primary channels. And I log into X as well, but I auto upload pretty similar content to all platforms. Now, YouTube is longer form, Instagram is shorter form, so I do dial the channels differently occasionally.
Correct.
But I'm trying to push content 3 times a day minimum in stories, TikTok stories, Instagram stories, and then a minimum of 3 posts a week on all those platforms.
Wow. Okay. How does TikTok work for you business-wise?
It's
I'm always
funny.
curious on that one.
Yeah. So again, I don't think I've had, I don't think I've had a linear 1-for-1 lead come in, but my engagement's very high. And it's funny that I get a lot of people, I get more interaction on TikTok than I do Instagram, which I think is very strange because my ICP
Yeah.
lives in LinkedIn and lives in Instagram. But I
Right.
have people sending me messages in TikTok all the time. I mean, I don't get a chance to respond to all of them, but my engagement rate is much higher statistically than some of the other platforms.
That's so fascinating. You think about it, it's more just for non-business oriented
I know.
communication, but I think it does have an opportunity there. That's good to
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah.
You work with somebody, you get a client. What's your retention strategy to maintain that client?
Yeah. At first I probably didn't have one, Dennis, but I do now. So I've learned in my practice that as an EOS style implementer, entrepreneurial operating system, a lot of clients in that $5 to $30 million bucket are looking for some sort of framework to work with, and EOS is a very popular one. So what I've learned is I lead with EOS as a 1-year
Okay.
engagement, and it has a residual annual renewal. Once I get in, I build trust with the CEO. I typically do one-on-one coaching for like a monthly retainer.
Okay.
And then as we get to know each other, I say, hey, your next level leadership team could use some help. Why don't we do a 12-month training program for them where we talk to them about leadership and management and delegation, all the mechanics of being a great manager here. And so it's kind of a 3-rung approach where it's EOS, coaching, leadership training. But the
Team training.
EOS goes on forever. Like it's an auto renewal every year. I haven't had a client drop out yet. So that's a 12-month recurring.
Good. So it's somewhat of a built-in insurance policy.
Yeah.
Okay. And so far, knock on wood, no one said I'm not renewing.
Everybody's renewed so far. Everybody's renewed.
Fabulous.
Yep.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
What's your biggest challenge you face now as a consultant going forward?
The biggest challenge, I said a little bit before, is replacing myself. So, right now I built my business to a place where it's become profitable, very solid client base, everything's in a really good place. But
Good.
clients are buying me. And so I need to get
Right.
to a place where my time is only, 40, 50, 60 hours a week. There's only so many hours I can give. So I have to start to think about maybe I do less one-on-one coaching, more group coaching. Like, how do I scale myself?
Right.
Do we need to hire more coaches? Right? Is there a way for me to deliver certain programs that I don't have to personally deliver? So things I have to start thinking about my business in that way.
Well, unless they allow human cloning, there's only one of you, Chris. And so the challenge that people face is how do they replicate that and get it to the people they need to without having to be duplicated, or the time. Time is your biggest enemy, it would seem like, because I understand the dilemma because you can't train someone to do what you do. You're unique in what you've learned, your experiences from your background in sports and your background in corporate America and all that other good stuff, 30 years of doing it. That's up here. And you can't just pull that out, put it in someone and say, okay, go and be me. So you think about what your challenges are. I think, the one area in the future you might want to think about and you look at, how are you going to expand your coaching and EOS style without the time investment of training and developing individuals? Or how do you get your message out? Is it through bigger conferences, bigger stages? What's your plan kind of to achieve that?
Right. Well, and so I like to think of myself, we all have imposter syndrome, but I've always tried to emulate the Simon Sinek's and the John Gordons and like the very positive leaders and the Jocko Willinks, right? The positive leaders in this world. So they've built their businesses in that way so that they get on bigger stages and they've create like an engine behind them. So Dan Martell, even my coach, another great example. So, I'm still in this smaller build mode, but as I grow, that's what I foresee happening. Like I'll still be the brand in many ways, but instead of being on stage with 30 people, it's 300 people, or instead of the leadership cohort being 18 people, it's 80 people, right? So it's just bigger
Right.
engagements where I can leverage my time in a different way. Yeah.
Have you looked into online capabilities to get speaking engagements?
I just started to do that this quarter. Like I just started to find like these little entrepreneur groups, like Boston entrepreneurs and San Diego entrepreneurs, like these little entrepreneur groups that are kind of like mini masterminds. And so, yeah, I'm starting to like market actually to those types of groups. Yeah.
Okay, good. There's a lot of
Yeah.
different ways you can achieve that. And, as we get towards the end here of our dialogue,
Yeah.
one of the things I want to make sure is that I've answered all your questions and you've answered ours wonderfully. I mean, you've got so much knowledge and wealth. It's a lot of fun. And being an ex-athlete, I can relate to you very closely of what you've gone through, the work you have to put in to get to the level, the work to stay at the level, and then if you desire to get better, the extra work you have to put in to become the next level coach, and for you, the EOS style of development. So can you leave for everyone the information right now, Chris, that would be able for people to reach out to you? If you don't mind, share how people can reach you, Chris.
100%. Yeah. My social handle is Chris Mader, MTA, for Make the Adjustment under MTA Consultancy. Website is easy to find, maketheadjustment.com. And I know that there are chiropractors out there that wish they trademark Make the Adjustment, but I got it long before they did. So, but yeah, it's always Chris Mader, MTA, or MTA Consultancy with tagline Make the Adjustment. You'll find.
All right, Chris, I've enjoyed the conversation with you today. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just think that I guess the only closing thought I would have for anybody that's thinking about breaking out on their own, the obvious thing to say is you just have to have belief, and you can't ever let that belief waver. Because in the 3 years I've done this business, Dennis, I talk about that safety net. There were probably 2 days out of 1,000 where a little bit of doubt would creep into my mind, and either my wife, my dad, somebody would be like, Chris, no, like it's gonna work, it's going well, you're just in a rut right now, it's gonna be okay. And so the 2 times I thought about stepping back and going back into the safety net of corporate America, it would have been a massive mistake. So just stay in the game. Like every day you're in the game is another day you can find a new client. I literally would say to myself, just stay in the game, just stay in the game. And, literally 35 months in, turn the corner of profitability. And now it's just never looking back. Yeah.
Did the high wire, you're almost all the way across. There you go.
I'm almost, you're never all the way there, because then you want to hit you know how it is, Dennis. When you get to the top of the first mountain, you want the next mountain. You know how it works.
Yep. And that's part of it's why you wake up every morning.
Yeah. 100%.
Because you want to have that challenge. I really enjoy that, Chris.
Yeah. This has been great. Thanks, Dennis.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Principal Podcast. We hope you learned valuable strategies to grow your firm and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.